It's our 400th episode today.
Oh, wow. That deserves a snack.
Yes,
David,
exactly, David.
That's kind of what we're thinking too, you know? So, David, you're our treat.
Okay, great. Well, I am dipped in fudge biannually.
This is What a Joke
with Tom Papa and Fortune Feimster
on Netflix is a Joke Radio.
How you been?
Good, in a relative sense. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Getting somewhat back to a normal life, doing stand-up again. I've been doing that for a little while. It's been great and fun. And I was stuck in Canada for about 6 months, which was not great. And they were all locked down. Canada's great, but not when it's locked down.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But we're back home in Brooklyn. Everything's great.
So now that you're married and have a child, is this going to be your Ray Romano era? Is this going to early Cosby?
It's going to be my Roseanne Barr period, I think, more than anything. No, I mean, I definitely have material about having a kid, and I did in the last special too, but it's more of a cynical take.
Right.
I talk about how much I resent her because she's rich, and I can't deal with it. I have a prejudice that I know is wrong. That's a hangover from when I was growing up, where I hated rich people, and I got to get over it.
Is it hard to raise your child as a wealthy individual when you were raised differently? Like, do you even know how to do it?
I mean, you just don't have to say no. You're saying no for a different reason. You're not saying no, you can't have that because, when I was being told no, but I understood it pretty early on. I mean, I wasn't, I'm guessing I was like 7 or 8 when I was disappointed, but I got it. I didn't get to have the things that kids in school and class had, and you don't get to do that. And I got it.
Right.
Whereas I'm telling her no for the opposite reason. Like, you have too much shit. Share it. I'm taking it away and giving it to somebody who doesn't have it.
We don't want you to be spoiled.
Yeah.
I'm serious when I say, the kind of standard thing of like, I want my kid to have everything I never had. And I'm like, fuck that. Absolutely not. I want her to know the value of money. Yeah. Yes, it's true.
Oh, I get that. I mean, I get, the value of working for something. It goes a long way because it stays with you your whole life. Tom's just handing over money leftover. What's it?
Hand over fist?
Yes, that.
leftover fist.
Leftover fist. Hand over fist.
So I have 2 daughters, and they're now 16 and 19. And it's hard to say no. And if they're relentless and just keep coming at you, they know they're going to get a yes eventually.
Yeah,
you're going to run out of steam.
I've already experienced that on a level that's disappointing to me, because I'm like, oh, I thought I was going to be more, stricter. But then also, my wife is much more lenient than I am. And I've said, like, I never want to be poor again. I mean, if it means having, an excess of money in the bank that we don't touch, because what if somebody gets sick or somebody, in our families needs it or whatever. I have on numerous occasions started with a firm no and explained it, and then thought I was had a little bit more willpower, and then 20 minutes later she's got another ice cream in her hand. So
right. Yeah, I was thinking about you yesterday, knowing that you were coming on the show, and I heard my my iPhone was going through stuff, and there was an interview with
your iPhone was having issues. It was going through some tough times.
No, it was going through. It was working some stuff out.
Yeah.
It was going through random on my stuff, and there was an interview with George Carlin, and they asked George Carlin, "So you seem to be getting more political these days." And he said, yeah, I put it down for a while. I had to take a break from it, but it starts to build up and then naturally finds itself back in the act. And it really kind of struck me knowing that you were coming on, because you always seem to have this really fun, playful side to you, but there's almost seems to be from the outside stuff that you find yourself having to express and having to talk about socially.
Yeah. I mean, that makes its way via stand-up a lot of times, but that is a thing that I mean, since I was a kid, I've just had that hyper awareness of inequity. And, I remember being in Atlanta, and I went to a bunch of different schools, but one of the last high school I went to was by a very prosperous white community. You'd have to drive through, and you would see all the servants, the help, the nannies, the cooks, the whatever. All those people, all of them are Black, and all of the wealthy people are white. All of them, every single one of them. And I was always like a little confrontational, I guess, in school, and I questioned religion and all that stuff when I was younger, and especially because there'd be a very passionate, prosaic lecture or speech or whatever, utilizing the parts of the Torah and what God said, and it's always about helping the poor, helping your neighbor and the less fortunate. And then these people would kind of just give it lip service, and then you'd say Shabbat Shalom or whatever, and then that's it. And then everyone's immediately talking about, oh, so we're going to get a new car. We don't need a new car, but we're going to get a new car. But I just have to have, and they're talking about all that kind of stuff. And not that isn't in every single religion, but I saw it firsthand in that one. I don't know. I'm rambling and whatever. But
no, but it that stuff it's not phony. Like you'd watch some comics sometimes gin up anger about stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like, really, are you that mad about parking?
Yeah. Those guys who do that stuff, it's like kind of funny the first time, but then when you watch them do it the exact same way, the exact same cadence, the exact same pausing, the exact same place where they sputter and lose their, like
not very genuine, that anger. When you started comedy, did you start in stand-up, or was it sketch?
No, stand-up. I was in Atlanta. The very first open mic night I ever did was a week before my birthday, my 18th birthday, and then did stand-up. And then I didn't really do sketch until I moved to Boston, and I went to Emerson College for a couple minutes. And while I was there, I was in a sketch group with people that remain friends to this day, and that's where I really got my love of it. And my friend Mark Rivers, he and I would kind of write these little bits, and he would go up on stage with me, and we'd do these characters. So that was a kind of the Venn diagram, I guess, of stand-up and sketch. But nobody appreciated it. We were in Atlanta in the early 80s. Nobody gave a shit. There was a guy when I was first starting out. There was a guy, I want to say his name was Trip Wingfield, and he would bring a toilet seat, and he'd put it on a chair, and then he would do I so hope I got his name right, because if I didn't, that's terrible. But he would do like shit, like different ways that people shit, and that one, people loved it. They loved it. And then I'd go up there with my goofy shit, and they're like, "No, thank you," which I always just heard Jew. That's
they're like, "Bring the toilet seat guy back."
Yeah. More shitting.
I remember watching you guys, Janine and Garofalo and Marin, and like when you guys were all like really making strides, it was pretty unique when you look back that you had like this common, like, it doesn't all have to be that toilet seat thing in the mainstream clubs. You know what I mean? It's pretty unique.
It was pretty special, and I'd be disingenuous if I said that we didn't know it at the time. I think a lot of us, even though we were trying to be self-effacing and like, oh, we're just having fun and all that, but I think most of us had this like, I think we're kind of doing something really pretty cool here. Not that we knew it would kind of forever change the landscape, and now the idea of alternative comedy doesn't mean anything. It's just that's what it is. And but back then, back in the 80s, it was it was all kind of Seinfeld type stuff, not that there's anything wrong with it, but that was it. But there was no, it's okay to be personal, it's okay to go through your stuff here with us. And it was really pretty cool.
What year was Mr. Show? Because just to give
90,
a timeline.
95, 6, 7, 8, I want to say 95,
6, 7, 8. Because I feel like Mr. Show was like, oh, now we're over the wall.
Yeah, well, and before Mr. Show, there was, Ben Stiller's show, which was comprised of Janine and Andy Dick and Ben and Bob, and it was starting to burble, there was some burbling.
Burbles.
Burbles.